let's watch it together, starting from here.
Your stare was holding, red jeans, skin was showing, hard night wind was blowing. Where you think you're going, baby? Hey, I just met you, and this is crazy. But here's my number, so call me maybe. Yeah, it's hard to look right at your baby. But here's my number, so call me maybe. Hey, I just met you,
Right.
and this is crazy. But here's my
Alright, so this year for the World's Anthem, they got the Bows to sing Call Me Maybe. And they did carry a dirty, playing this goofy ass song while he's just covering for Deft and dying. Alright, sorry, obviously a joke. But I thought this was so fucking funny, so it is now our intro to this video. Yeah, sorry for spoiling some of the stuff that's gonna happen. But yeah, now let's start with the actual song. Hype Boy. Because NewJeans is here. Doing our God's World's Anthem. Let's start. Right games. Snow, Korea, Deft, obviously. Sits down in his high school, glaring over at this young, handsome man with jealousy in his eyes. Who is this man but Faker himself? That's Faker right there. If you didn't know, Deft and Faker went to the same high school, so this is where the story starts. They were both really good solo queue players. I don't think Faker knew Deft went to the same high school as him. But Faker was already starting to get famous. But either way, both were high challenger players. Challenger probably did not exist back then. But high rank players who was going pro from the same high school. I don't think they had the same class together. So this is more like a representation. But goes into League of Legends, fighting blue buff on Ezreal, using your Q, using his E, and then ulting the blue buff, struggling against a little blue buff, and like having a little smirk on his face because he 1v1 the blue buff. That's just the life of an ADC, I suppose. Baron Nashor? And who is that but again Faker Lee Senpai soloing Baron as a Z, and as you can see, T1 trophy right there in the back. So clearly Deft starts to look up to Faker. I want that. I can do that. Right. So first thing we want to note here is that, as you can see the poster here, that's a 2013 World Championship poster. And that's Faker and SKTT1 won Worlds that year. And Deft is just sitting home, drinking his Red Bull, not winning Worlds. So the story starts off with Deft being home, Faker winning Worlds. Barely a rivalry at this point. Not a rivalry at all, because this guy's just home, did not qualify for Worlds. But yeah, in addition to that, they had very, very different debut seasons. Faker, one of the best debut seasons in League history still. Literally, his mid-lane was just the most insane thing in the world. Deft, his team, I'm pretty sure went dead last the first season that he debuted in. Right? But now, fast forward, I think this is 2014. Deft is finally on the world stage. as you can see, playing Lucian. Doing very well this year, actually. I think he was a year or two into being pro, but this is his first world championship for Deft. In 2014, he was on Samsung Blue fighting against Samsung White. And this is Pawn on Jace, literally smashing Deft into pieces. Boom. One of his first worlds. No, his very first worlds. So honestly, this was semi-finals, losing to Samsung White, which ended up being the world champion that year. So obviously wants to win, but not the end of the world. Very good start for being your first worlds, right? After that, losing to Samsung White, making it to semifinals and losing. Fast forward to 2015. He's on EDG playing with Mako. They were a great duo. They actually even won MSI this year, so expectations were super high. However, on quarterfinals, they lose. EDG loses to what team was this guy on? I forgot. Reckless. Fnatic. Yeah. Playing 80 Cannon. Knocking Deft out in the quarterfinals in 2015. And that's when it all starts. You see all of these? Jace's Shock Blast, E's, Zaya's E, Fate Feather Recall thingy. Deft just getting hit over and over, losing again and again. Starting from 2015 on. 2016, losing at quarterfinals in top 8. 2017, not qualifying for Worlds. 2018, losing again in quarterfinals at top 8. And 2019, not qualifying again. Losing and losing and losing. Not making it out of quarterfinals. And then now fast forward after that, 2020. A big year of note. New teammates, Keria and Doran. These two people will come back. I don't think this is even a spoiler. These are all history. But yeah. Let's watch. Canyon, Graves, beats Deft down to the floor. Showmaker on Syndra. The saddest moment in the video. Keria on Braum. Blocking for Deft and dying to the Syndra ulti. And this marks yet another defeat. 2020, Deft loses another one. As most people expected that year. Damwon was just so good. Another quarterfinals exit in 2020. As you can see here, he's super defeated. Keeps losing and losing and losing. Looks into the shattered glass, looks into the mirror. Who am I? Am I just destined to be a quarterfinalist and losing there again and again and again? However, a helping hand reaches up. We're gonna fast forward a little bit. There's this all of these defeats insane because Deft in his worlds in his career, he was eliminated in quarters 5 times. 2015, 2016, 2018, 2020, and 2021. So now Underdog story. Have you read this? This is 2020. I think these people are all pretty recognizable. We have Zika here, Pyoshik. We have Beryl and King Gen. And this is 2020. And 2022. Did I say 2020 earlier? 2022. This is just such an insane year for everyone on this team. And now we know Deft's story up to this point. All of these rivalries he's had. 2022, honestly, not a great year for the team at this point when they joined the team, and as Worlds is starting, they literally barely made it out of Korea to join Worlds because they were not the 3 seeds that Korea sent. They barely made it to kind of like the 4th seed and had to play in the play-ins, and there's not been a single play-ins team that has made it past I think maybe quarterfinals in the history of League. That I'm not too sure, actually, do not quote me on that. But playing from play-ins is a big deal because you are 4th seed coming out of a region. It's going to be a long journey if your goal is to win the whole thing. However, that they did. They won all of their playing games, made it out of groups. I think making it out of groups. And as you can see, they are coming from the bottom of the bottom, underground all the way up, signifying they are really underdogs this year. Who do they see? One of Deft's former teammates, Mako, on Renata Glask, the defending world champions, EDG. This series was so insane. Obviously, Mako, super good. EDG, super good, defending world champs, as I said. DRX, so never mentioned, but 2022, Deft is on DRX. DRX loses Game 1 to EDG. Game 2, Deft was on essentially a backdoor mission. One of the few last autos onto the Nexus, inhib respawns. Deft had to back off, try to hit the inhib. EDG catches him, kills him. GA, he was alone, so he dies. And they end up losing the game to EDG when he was literally 1 auto away from winning the game. And the inhib stopped Deft from winning that game. And in a best of 5, losing 2 games is not good. You cannot lose a single game more if you want to make it out in a best of 5. And that's the situation they were in as DRX 0-2 against the reigning world champs. Deft pulls out Draven. I think at this point he's played in his whole career of Pro League of Legends, he's played Draven twice. So this is not a champion anyone was expecting. He pulls it out when they are 0-2 against EDG. So crazy. That was just such an insane series. DRX ends up reverse sweeping EDG from that 0-2 spot, from that inhib respawning. They kept their mentals and literally fought back and won 3 games in a row like the champions they are. Next up, we have Deft as Varus. Who does he see next? A gigantic Renekton. This is Doran. Again, another former teammate. Doran was on Gen.G and This series was also insane because as far as I remember, DRX throughout the whole season has beat Gen.G in a series 0 times. Maybe they did not win a single game, but either way, there was no way DRX was winning with this one. DRX could not beat Gen.G. The whole season they've done it 0 times. And Doran was cracked on Renekton. He was popping off. As you can see, he is huge. But Deft and his team pulled through and was able to win against Gen.G in the semifinals. And again, I forgot to stress how big the EDG series was to them, especially to Deft, because he's gotten knocked out at quarterfinals 5 times, and he has not gotten past quarterfinals since 2014, which is his very first Worlds appearance. So this was huge for him, beating EDG. He was crying, and they even beat Gen.G in the semifinals. So who's next, right? As you can see, he climbs up, as his team did, from the play-ins, making it out of groups, winning an impossible series against EDG in the quarterfinals, winning an impossible series against Gen.G. They literally have not won a single time against Gen.G the whole season, to the World Championship Finals. Keria on Karma. Probably Deft's best friend in the league. Keria was mentored by Deft when he first started. Keria has once promised Deft that they were gonna get the trophy together, the World Champion trophy. But they are no longer on the same team. It's a game, and there's going to be winners, and there are going to be losers. So, both of them determined. But sorry, Keria. Even though you died for Deft earlier in the video, Deft is the main character here. Knocks him down. Who shows up? The rival since high school. The handsome young fella. The greatest of all time. Faker on Victor. Knocking Deft down. Can Deft do this? He hasn't made it out of quarters since 2014. Faker is literally the greatest of all time. Is Deft just not meant to be a champion? Oh, but wait. Genshin Impact connoisseur comes in. Barrel on that Bard. Magical Journey's in. And these are pretty easy to identify outside of Bard's thingy, in my opinion. We have Azir. What's his name? Zika. We have Pyoshik on that Hecarim. Very sad that we didn't really get to see his Kindred on the world stage. We have Beryl on Bard, Deft on Caitlyn, and King Gen on Aatrox. Oh man, this Aatrox did a lot of work. Shows up, and with the power of love and teamwork, Caitlyn ulti does something. Blows up the whole world. And these two shots are both based off of just actual footages. So very touching. Deft from high school to now finally winning that world championship trophy. It's just such an insane story. So like 2022 Worlds is my favorite Worlds. The story is so good. And it's just, as sad as I am for Keria, he's young. He's got this. I think he's probably one of, if not the best player still playing. Just my opinion. I don't watch that much Pro League, but he's very good. I think he has a good chance to get a trophy at some point. And now we just have this year's qualifiers, essentially. Just like some highlights of this. What's this guy's? AU from CP LoL. This is Hansama. Hansama is from LEC. I saw a reaction video of all of G2 watching this video together. Hansama doesn't have red hair anymore. Nobody on Hansama team realized that this was Hansama. Even Hansama himself did not realize that this was him. But they probably know now. But it was so funny to watch the reaction video, and none of them knew that was who that was. The Blabber signature hat. And we have, what was this? Jose Diodo, LLA. And we have 369 rolling 3 6s or 9s. I don't know. They're not 9 sides to these die, so I'm assuming it's 6s. And then we have Chovy. Chovy also has a great story. Hopefully he does some more. Gen.G from LCK. And we have Levi. I think a lot of people know Levi. Levi, Gigabyte Marines representing the VCS. You have this Yutapon from Demolition Focus Me. It's always that team from Japan, from LJL. And we have Aji from my region, my home region, the PCS. Taiwanese player on PSG Talent. All looking at this year's trophy. Worlds 2023. Tune in on lolesports.com. So overall, my thoughts are that I loved the story of Deft and where he came from. And I wish more people were highlighted in is just the 2022 story, because their team went through a lot, right? But I guess you can't really fit everything into a video, and it's also kind of nice to follow the Deft and Deft only. In terms of NewJeans, I kind of love NewJeans, but this is also kind of just like not NewJeans vibe at all. But I do think it's a lot better than last year's Anthem. Last year's, I thought it was one of the catchiest ones of all of them, but it just did not feel like the epic hypeness that a World's Anthem I feel like should be. But this one definitely has that. So overall, I enjoyed it. I really like the animation. I think every year they do insanely well on the animation. So this year's animation, I don't think it's like particularly like I can't rank it number 1 or anything. They're just all too good in terms of animation. But the story, this year's story is just so good. So last year's story, I suppose, but that made it into this year's Anthem. But yeah, those are my overall thoughts. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. How long is this video? Probably like 1 trillion minutes. But thank you for watching. Yeah, let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you like this song and this video. And see you next year. Whatever I will post.